Hello everyone, welcome back. Today at this class, I'm just going to explain you a bit about the peninsular part of the India. We need to understand that peninsular part of India actually is very much comprising of the central highlands. So now the area which I'm going to circle completely, that is a part of the central highlands. This whole part that exactly covers till Jharkhand is said to be as the central highlands. At the same time, the triangular part starting right from the tip of Maharashtra and from the tip of the Orissa, the other side, going down till the Tamil Nadu part, this whole part is said to be as a Deccan Plateau. So I mark this one as a Deccan Plateau. At the same time, I mark this one as the Central Highlands. Remember one thing, both the areas have one thing in common. What is that exactly? They both are made up of the metamorphic and the igneous rocks. At the same time, this central highland really does comprise of some of the ranges. Like here we have the Aravallis mountains. As you go down to the southwest, to the southeast, you find exactly the Vindhyas. Furthermore down if you go here, you find the Satpura ranges. At the same time, as we shift more to the eastern part, you will find that exactly this area is whole more said to be as a part of the Bundelkhand. As we shift more towards the east, the part of the Jharkhand is said to be as the Chota Nagpur Plateau. So what exactly area comprises of? The central highlands, we can say exactly the Aravallis, Vindhya, Satpuras. At the same time, the Malwa Plateau just in proximity of this one. At the same time, the Bundelkhand part, which is more of the Chhattisgarh and the Madhya Pradesh. And same time, the last one that we have it is the Jharkhand called as the Chota Nagpur Plateau. Remember one thing, we do have some hills ranges also here, some more hill ranges. We do have it. So we can say exactly Mahadev range that is very much close by here, right? The Mahadev range, which is very much closer to the Satpura range, is something said to be as the Mahadev Hills, is very much an important range. At the same time, it has the highest peak. If we look about, there's also one more range that is mountain that is said to be as the Michael range. That is very much in the Chhattisgarh part. So Michael is very much closer to the Bundelkhand. At the same time, you will find that exactly what happens is that the width of the central highlands is more greater here, whereas as you move toward the eastern part, you will find that the width very much reduces. Now the Deccan part is actually this whole part which I am putting all the points. The Deccan part is all this part, right, starting from here till down. At the same time, but remember one thing, the Deccan Plateau also has an extension to the northeast. Here we do have a hill that is said to be as the North Kachar Hills. North Kachar, Cachar, that's a spelling. At the same time, down below you shall find some more hills, Garo, Khasi and the Jengshia. So these hills, whatever you have in the northeastern, the lower slopes, you will see that exactly it's very much a part of the Deccan Plateau. Now, we also know that this part, the Deccan Plateau part, is said to be as the Eastern Ghats, and this part is said to be as the Western Ghats. Here you have the river that is said to be as the Narmada. So you know exactly the region, the area in between of the Narmada, right, and down to the Nilgiri Hills where we have it. This area is said to be as the Western Ghats, whereas the area right from this point to this point is said to be Eastern Ghats. So what can we say exactly is an area that's starting right from here, right? We have here the river flowing the Mahanadi. In between the areas that is said to be Mahanadi, and down below the areas again down to the Nilgiris, right? What happens is said to be as the Eastern Ghats. Remember one thing, Nilgiri Hills are common for both because it's a kind of a range that extends right from the eastern part of the boundary to the west, and therefore what happens is that we can say it to be a part something which comprises both in the combination to the Western Ghats and the Eastern Ghats. Now there are some differences. Remember one thing, the Western Ghats are more greater in height. The Eastern Ghats are lesser in height, but the width of the Western Ghats is definitely much lesser than the Eastern Ghats. Not only that much, remember, you'll find that this one part, the Western Ghats, is more continuous, and therefore because it's continuous, you're not going to find here much rivers flowing, but rather you just have only two rivers flowing in the Western Ghats part. The one is the Narmada, as I told you, and the other one just below to that is said to be as the Tapi river. Now here we shall have four rivers flowing, very important ones: Mahanadi, Godavari, at the same time the Krishna, and as you go down, then the Kaveri, the last one. Right? Remember one thing, the Godavari is also said to be as the Dakshin Ganga. Why? Because this is the longest river in the south. At the same time, Mahanadi River, Godavari, Krishna and Kaveri, why there's so many rivers flowing right from the west to the east direction? in this direction. The reason is that these ghats are not continuous but they are discontinuous. Like say suppose this is one ghat, this is the second ghat, this is the third ghat, and this is the fourth ghat. In between you are having lots of spaces empty which allows the water to flow through, and therefore what happens, that is something said to be as the means of flowing of the water, and therefore we find many more rivers. This part, the Western Ghat receives more rainfall, right? But the Eastern Ghats does not receive more rainfall. Why is that so? Because we know that the India receives rainfall due to the two branches of the moistures that the wind carries. One is the Bay of Bengal branch and one is the Arabian Sea. The Arabian Sea branch moves in this direction, the Western Ghats, whereas Eastern Ghats, what happens is that it moves towards this direction. So what happens is that this is what exactly makes it more you know greater in terms of the rainfall, the Western Ghat, whereas the Eastern Ghats. But remember one thing, the Eastern Ghats are more prone to the cyclone, whereas the Western Ghats are not prone to the cyclone. So these are the differences that we have it. Thank you.